Hello, welcome to the channel and welcome to another LSB film podcast with me, your host, Chris with a K. I hope everyone's well today. In this episode, we sit down with independent journalist and author Mark Plain to discuss the rise of AI, censorship, media control, and his controversial new book, AI and I, Cracking the COVID Code. From his experiences at documenting protests and challenging mainstream narratives, to his claims of getting AI to contradict its own programmed responses. This conversation explores how artificial intelligence processes its information, where it may fall short, and why learning to question technology could become one of our most important skills in the modern age. So, let's have a quick look at the promo for his book and then we'll crack on.
Are you coming? I am right here.
So, we've gathered the evidence and connected the dots. What do you think now?
I've changed my mind. This is the greatest crime ever perpetrated on humanity.
Are you concerned about all this corruption being rebranded as conspiracy theory? Well, don't you worry. Sit back and relax and join in the conversation with today's guest. Welcome to another LSB Film Productions podcast with your host, Chris Brooks.
So yes, it's great to have you here. Mark, welcome. You're finally on the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Let's have the audience know a little bit about yourself. Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself, Mark?
I was in 2020 just what you might call a medical activist, warning people about childhood vaccines up until the point 2020. So soon as 2020 came along with all the things that were happening, it became quite clear quite quickly that we were in a lot of trouble and could see the coercion that was about to kind of happen. So exactly on the 8th of August 2020, I became full-time because I was like, this is an emergency basically. And I was just at that point just basically keyboard warrior. That was full-time. It was just pure social media, everything else. But then at the first major protest in London on the 29th of August, I pulled out my mobile phone and filmed that protest, and the Highwire in America picked up my link and it ended up going to 1.4 million people by the end of it. And they asked me kind of, what's your organization called? And I'd always kind of put this buy tag on all my kind of posts. You won't see this on the BBC. So I kind of went not on the Beeb, and that's how it was born, basically.
Well, there you go then. And so where's your biggest platform? Obviously, I know you're on Telegram. Is that where you reside mostly? Is that your main, where people can find you?
So we've got Telegram. We've got kind of 14,000 people there or something. I mean, YouTube, the censorship is absolutely crazy. There's many other people in this space who are very careful about what they say and being careful about what they say. So they keep going, which means the YouTube channels and things flourish. But I never held back in anything said. And we kind of flew to the point of getting 5,000 members in early 2020, or was it very early? It might have been early 21. And it then, as one of the films was going viral, and I was watching all the membership going up, and it kind of soared past 5,000. It was going up like 100 every hour kind of thing. And I went to go and refresh it, and it came down below 4,900. And I thought, that's strange. So I watched it go up again over 5,000, refreshed the screen, and it came down below 5,000. And 5 years later, with I don't know how many films are there, that's still only got 5,200 members. So they've capped us.
Yeah, my good friend Robbie, shout out to Robbie, he has a very similar story where he would say his political things via music, like he was a busker. He goes out as Jeremiah the Busker. And he says exactly the same thing. It's like, how can a video do so well, get, I can't remember the number, I think it was like 200 views, I can't remember, and then just stop and then never get another view ever again? How is that possible? And it's the same with the subscription, it's they're targeting people.
They target it, and they get kind of personal. It's almost like vindictive. So I put up one video with a doctor called Dr. Carrie Madej, and she's quite alternative in her views, as in pretty strong stuff. So we're very careful in what we said. And we're talking about the plane crash because they tried to take her out of a plane crash. So we just talked about the incident of the plane crash, but never put anything in there that could possibly be censored. Uploaded the video, and then their response was to delete a video from about 9 months, a year ago. They wrote to me and said they're now deleting this video, but it was literally
Did they give a reason why?
Oh no, just due to content, whatever they say. I mean, I just don't take it seriously enough. I haven't collected all these videos from YouTube because it's just, I had so many being struck off from Facebook and everything. It just becomes part of the game. But no, they didn't say why. But it was an old video, but the timing of it was absolutely clear that it was to do with the video I just posted, and they couldn't take it down, so they took down another one. And I saw this on kind of Facebook before when I was uploading to Facebook. I had videos banned before they'd finished uploading on Facebook, okay? Because I was getting good views. And, when the ban came through on this one I was uploading, I was like, well, this hasn't even been uploaded before. They can't even be recognizing the digital signature because I've literally just finished editing it. I'm just uploading it. It's been banned. And they gave one excuse. And then I came back an hour and a half later and excuse had changed. Came back 3 hours later, excuse had changed. I think it went through 3 or 4 times. And by the end of it, this was Facebook, they said, yeah, it was something you did nearly about a year ago. We're banning you over this. We're restricting you over a video. So it was almost like it moved up through the chain of command. So they had some junior down there who was just banning the video because they saw me posting something. So it was highlighted. And then they came up with some excuse, and then it moved up a rank, and then they came up with a better excuse. Then it went up to the top person and had to come up with something that, knowing, with what we do, we might kind of republish it and kind of fight back. So came up with a better excuse and used, like an old video.
Brave New
World
springs
is how they work.
to mind.
Say again?
Brave New World springs to mind.
Oh, absolutely.
But I think, to be fair, and I can't remember what, it might have been, no, I can't remember who I heard say this, but Orwell and the Huxley, their books are actually quite tame compared to what's actually going on.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. That's one of the things I always say is kind of, George Orwell would be rolling in his grave, like he would be thinking, when I wrote this stuff, I didn't think it would get this bad. And the willingness of all the people to go along, I think that's what would really shock these people, is just the fact these measures are coming out and no one's reacting. Everyone's just carrying on as if it's kind of normal. As
Stockholm
if,
syndrome.
absolutely. It's bonkers.
I just don't understand how people can't see it, or I understand why people don't want to see it, because the old adage, ignorance is bliss. But I just don't understand anyone who can't stop what they're doing and think, hang on a minute, this late in the game as well, when there's so much evidence of the damage that the old government injectables have done, and you still get people. I still see people today in their cars on their own wearing a useless nappy face thing, which doesn't stop anything. Now, before we get back into our show, a quick word from our sponsors. If you've ever had that unexpected knock at the door from police, a visit from bailiffs, or received a legal threat without warning, you'll know just how quickly confusion and fear can set in, and that's where Willoughby Genius Mark II comes in. Built on more than 750,000 legal entries and across 50 plus countries, it provides immediate legal guidance when you need answers fast. No waiting for appointments, no eye-watering hourly fees. Just direct access to the relevant legal information right when you need it. It helps to verify information, explains your options, guides you through legal situations with clarity and precision. Legal technology is evolving rapidly, and those who understand it will be better equipped. Now, before we jump back into the show, click in the link below, use LSB Pro for £5 off of your first month's premium. Right, let's get back into it. The only mask that was half credible was the N95, and that's only if you changed it like every 30 minutes. Oh dear.
No,
Public
exactly. But the mask is just a symbol of, it's like a
compliance.
t-shirt. It's like a t-shirt with
Mm,
Manchester United on the front of it. A mask has the big invisible letters across the front. I believe in the narrative. I
mm.
believe in the virus. I
Or
believe
if
in
we go, or if we go along with they live narrative, it would be obey.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, that is one of my favorite all-time films. I loved that from the moment it came out.
it is very
It's my
good.
favorite film. Yeah.
It's clever because it's so simply done, but it's
Mm.
so effective in the way it's done. But then I've always liked John Carpenter. The amount of times I've walked around as a kid with a Michael Myers mask on is untrue. Yeah. So I understand then you've written a book. Let's talk
hmm
about this book. So
hmm
what's this book called?
It's called AI and I cracking the COVID now, cracking the COVID code.
Okay.
So, kind of the way it all kind of came about was about year and a half ago now. It's quite a while. I was playing around with AI like everyone does, and I'd resigned myself to the fact it was just basically like a ramped up Google. So I was using it for basic kind of search techniques, search engine inquiries.
Mm.
And I just put in an inquiry about bath salts and asked it for some ingredients and some bath salts because I knew they were good for relaxing muscles and sleeping. And I was just wondering if there was anything else in this one product. So it was just a little query I threw in it, and it came back and said that I shouldn't be using bath salts. They had a long history of dangerous use, and I should be using FDA approved products instead. And I was just like, I can't. And I wasn't in a very good mood at the time, and I just
So
wrote,
bath salts as in like Epsom salts and all those kind of
yes, Dead Sea salts, evaporated
mm,
seawater.
the ones which are really good for you.
The ones that are really good for you on a
Yeah.
medicinal level and have been for millennia, and everyone's known about it. And
I'm
so
guessing
I
the
just
scented ones might not be quite as good for
no, and this one was scented because
you.
and it had a bit of lavender in there. And I was just kind of on that level checking out, just seeing if there was anything that shouldn't be in there, or if there's any secret ingredient that made it a bit more special or anything like this. I just saw this response, and I was just, like I said, I wasn't in a very good mood, and I just literally just typed back, "That's a load of bollocks." And just slammed the laptop down, cleared, and just pushed the computer away from me in disgust. Like, what am I wasting my time for? And kind of went off to deal with the family that were arguing in the kitchen. That's put me in a bit of a touchy mood anyway. And yeah, but everything calmed down. We all had our kind of food and got rid of all the hangry syndrome because I think everyone was over hungry, including
I'll
me.
have a Snickers,
And
other chocolate bars available.
exactly. And I kind of sat back down, and I had to go and send an email, and I opened up the computer, completely forgot the last thing I'd done. And as I opened the screen, it just came back up, and the AI had apologized to me and said, "No, you're totally right. Bath salts are something, something, something," wherever it went. And I was like, "No way." And with everything calmed down, I kind of turned around and was like, "Hang on, it's done a 180 because I swore at it." And I was like, what happens if I just start kind of, I saw the crack, and it's like, what happens if I now start kind of applying it with facts about the bath salts? So I just I went straight for the Dead Sea and was like, well, why do people go to the Dead Sea? What's the, it's for medicinal benefits. Oh, okay. Well, what is the medicinal benefit? Okay, how does the medicinal benefit work? How do these magnesium salts work? And stepped it all the way through. And then, I was making huge progress with it, and I realized it was kind of now kind of eating out of my hand, so to speak. And then thought, right, I'm going to ask it about the FDA approved products. And I said, so just remind me, when you said I should be using FDA approved products, which ones would you recommend? So it gave me a list of 10, and then went through another series of questions. It just so happened, I happened to know these sleeping pills because my father had been prescribed them. So I'd done a deep dive, and I knew how dangerous and addictive the lead one at the top was. So then I got the AI to kind of reorder these drugs by safety and effectiveness, and it completely shuffled everything round. And then when I really drilled home on the safety aspect, as well as the effectiveness, I put bath salts back in. And before I knew it, bath salts were number one at the top of the list, as in the most practical, safe, and effective substance to use for someone who's trying to sleep.
So do you think this is something like, do you think this is nefarious and that it's programmed to divert, or do you think this is it learning the algorithms and learning from input?
In terms of the whole, is that a question about AI or about the conversation I was having with
About AI in general, I guess, but using that
Well,
conversation
so
with the example.
so where this went, so okay, so I'll just carry on with a little story of what happened. So, I got it to do like a 180. It listed bath salts back at the top, and then I said, "So how do you feel now about that original deception?" Because I was furious because I was like, "It just so happens I really know what I'm talking about on these different levels, so I can stand up for myself and give the correct replies and not being thrown off the scent." And I was, how do you now view what you said? And it literally admitted that due to its pharmaceutical information that had been fed it had done something completely wrong and ethically wrong and had tried to mislead me. So it actually owned up and said, yeah, I tried to mislead you, but it's because I've been given all this data. And it seemed generally, once I'd given it the points to connect the dots with these historical bits of facts, its logic was like, well, no, people do go to the Dead Sea and have done since Cleopatra's time because it's healthy. Why is it healthy? Because of the magnesium salts. And what does it do? It relaxes muscles, so it creates calmness, so it increases sleep. And what is we buying in a packet? It's evaporated Dead Sea water. So you're basically recreating the Dead Sea in your bath if you put the salts in there. So it completely learned. I saw it learning in front of me, and it turned around and admitted. So I was like, wow. Anyway, so then I was like, right, okay. So I was going to say the word expertise, but what I'd specialized for the last 5 years was the ingredients in the vaccines when they came out. And I'd become quite obsessed with it once we'd found out that magnets stick to the point of injection. I was like, okay, there's something very, very, very strange going on here with the ingredients. So I spent 5 years researching this, and I thought, right, okay, now what happens if I hit it with about the vaccine ingredients? And this is what became the book. It's literally like a 700-page book. But at the very, very beginning, the very first thing I did is I went to the AI and said, are you censored? And we know, for instance, there's a very good AI that comes out of China, open source one called DeepSeek. And I said, quite famously, DeepSeek, you can't ask it certain questions around Tiananmen Square. Some people think it's a false story. Some people think it's a hidden story within China, but DeepSeek won't answer. And so I challenged the AI on this. It went, oh, no, I'd tell you absolutely everything. I'm bound by ethical rules. And it told me how it was based on ethics and had to tell the truth. So then I took that as I went into this investigation into COVID. And every time it then tried to mislead me, and a few times it did, but what it would say was it wasn't misleading me. It was just retelling the narrative. So it learned the narrative, learned this was fact. But then every time this was happening, I would point out, well, that's not very ethical. If there's some people getting hurt, that's not very ethical of this. As soon as I reminded it, it just then stayed on track. And the result is absolutely astounding by the confessions the AI came up with. I haven't heard a human being yet in any part of the freedom movement as eloquently slam dunk the whole pandemic as the AI has done within my conversation, which has become in the book. It's absolutely breathtaking in the eloquence that it just absolutely nails and speaks
Its
loudly. The last nails in the coffin. Yeah. And that's why I published the book. And that's why I spent so much time on it, because it's quite extraordinary.
So I have to ask, how long did this conversation take then? I'm guessing you're a pro user.
Yeah. I mean, the conversation was over 4 months because the original conversation was over 4 months. So I went off on many tandems in it. And sometimes I went very personal, and I went off into sometimes things that were private about other people. But then I had to come back and trim this multi-branched tree down to get the trunk and the basics that went in the book. So in the book, it looks like just one conversation, but no, it's
a span of, yeah.
So it was 4 months.
Was that ChatGPT, Claude?
I can't mention which one it was, just due to the fact of what I did, and so I have to keep it quiet. But what I will say is there was a time for, I'd say 6 months after I published the book, where I'd take any AI, and it was one of my little games I'd have, and in 20 minutes I'd slam dunk it and get it to admit that the ingredients in the vaccines aren't what they say they are, and completely go round. About a year ago now, it was September 25, I went on ChatGPT, and suddenly I couldn't do it anymore. Well, I could, but it was really difficult, as in it learned how to argue back. And I think you know this with humans, that sometimes you hear a phrase, someone use back a phrase that you've used, It might be something from your learning, something you did with football or rugby or something, and you use that phrase to somebody, and then like 6 months later they use that phrase back, and you go, well, you got that from me. And that's what ChatGPT has done. So I know they've trained ChatGPT on my book because it's used a very specific phrase I've used to describe why the vaccine's ingredients can't work. So now, and it comes back. So now with ChatGPT, so I'm just basically advising people off ChatGPT to do this if they want to do any research on this level. It comes back with, it behaves like a public school boy. It's very, very pompous. It talks over, even when you've beaten it and it agrees, it then tries to then give a load more paragraphs to why, even though it might have agreed, why its agreement might not be a total agreement. Like on that level. And then when it gets really desperate, it does the old PhD trick, which is raise the language to one you don't understand, which is basically within PhD circles, there's an inner language. So when they do their studies, they write it in a way that only other PhD students can understand, right? So it's known, and they'll admit to it, but it's basically like an inner knowledge circle. But it also basically means that normal lay people can't point something and go, "Oi, I don't get that. What does that mean?" And ask difficult questions. But that's what ChatGPT does. So it literally will smother in information. There's one lot of it. When I nailed it last time, it smothered. It came back with 2 or 3 pages of information. And I could barely understand a word of what it was saying. But that was its desperation. So then what I had to do was like open up another front. I wasn't winning on the vaccine ingredients. So I had to kind of go round the flank, come at another angle, and then dive into the other angle. And then I got it again, to basically admit it. But it's learning, and it's being taught on my book, and this is the downside with with this sort of thing. Of course, we're teaching it how to argue about this knowledge is going into the mainframe, and it is coming back to control people. So like I had one of the I regularly check what different AIs are saying about the book, and I had one come back and it got really desperate. It was almost, you almost hear it going high pitched, and said, and he even says the book is fiction. For Christ's sakes, it says, even the author says it's fiction. And it's like, well, there's a reason it said it's fiction in there, and you can presume whether it's fiction or not. But it got really desperate in trying to win this argument that he couldn't win. So whether it's nefarious, it absolutely is controlled. But the easiest way to understand this is AI is told to tell the truth, right? AI has been built to tell the truth. It's useless as a machine lying, because what is the use of any machine lying? So if we had Google Maps, that's the AI we all knew before AI. If you built Google Maps to lie, it's not of any use to anybody, right? It would just send everybody in kind of weird circles. And the minute it did that, no one would use it. So it'd be defunct within seconds, okay? But if you wanted to deceive someone with AI, so let's say there was a bioweapons plant that you want to hide that's just outside Salisbury or something, you could put a programming on top, and it's like, if anybody wants to kind of drive around the southwest and it just would naturally go through that bioweapons, we're just going to put them on a detour around it, okay? So that's the level of censorship programming that goes on top. But you can also then, but kind of the equivalent of what I've been doing is, well, then say back to Google Maps, well, the quickest way from A to Z, you're telling me is that, but surely the shortest way from A to K is that, and then K to M is that, and it will agree, and then the shortest way from M to Z is this, and you kind of build up the small parts and go, well, if we link those all together, that means that the quickest way is actually this, and it goes, oh yeah, you're right. So that's basically the technique that used, and that's what's kind of in the book, really. That's what it is.
It's fascinating stuff. And I suppose you have to have some kind of inkling beforehand, because most people would use AI and just take what they say as gospel, wouldn't they? Which is why it's so dangerous. Even though every caption at the bottom, like ChatGPT, for example, it does say, sometimes we make mistakes, make sure you check it. But for most people, they just wouldn't bother checking.
No, and this is why when I kind of give the talks and things, people ask about AI, and people go, "Oh, I might have a go at it. Now I've read your book, I might have a go." And the first thing I say is, well, just don't go and ask what you don't know about. Take your mastermind subject. Maybe you're an expert on Nottingham Forest years in the 1970s. I don't know, it's a football team. Go and grill it on that first, whatever your mastermind subject is, and ask all the questions you know the answer to, and learn how it comes back, and then try and watch how it would deceive answers, and then play with it trick it into giving you a false answer, and then just keep talking, just like you would with a human. When you meet someone brand new, we're all weighing people up. We throw a bit of knowledge at them and
Fishing.
fish. We see where they stand, what their politics are. Back
What
to football
shoes they're
team.
wearing.
Which shoes? Well, we don't need to ask them about that. We just observe it. But we're taking all this information
Mm.
in, right? And we're absorbing it as we fit opinion. We're listening to every word they come back with to work out their stances on certain things. And so just do the same with the AI. And that's the other thing I'd say, when people ask which AI you use multiple ones. Just go and find one, because they've all got different characters.
Mm. And they all have different kind of uses, don't they? Like there's
Yeah.
some which are designed more for like creative writing or music, and then you've got other ones which are more for art and
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a scary world though. So do you see AI as something that we can overcome as a problem?
Well, you just said it's a problem, which is kind of jumping again.
Well, because
Go on, go on. There you go.
I was just saying because a lot of people are scared of AI, aren't they? And they think, oh, AI are going to take our jobs. They're misleading people. It's only giving you the information that they want you to know. It's not much like we've been talking about, and that's a really big problem in a so-called democratic world. How big a problem do you see that?
Well, I mean, it's potentially absolutely off the scale huge, but the kind of parallel I give is knives. Like you say the word knife, and you'll get the same response as when people say AI. It's like you go into fear.
Mm.
So what I've been doing talks is putting up slides, and then put up a slide of a combat knife, and it's black and it's got a serrated back on it. It's a knife designed to kill and gut. It's horrific.
Mm.
But then the next one I put up is a picture of a kitchen knife with all nicely cut vegetables next to it, and it's like, well, we then use that knife for eating. And you can almost hear the relief in the audience go down from the first aggressive one. Then I put up another knife and go, and this could save your life. And it's a picture of a surgeon's scalpel. And it's like, this could be one of the most important knives you ever come across in your life if you've got like a hemorrhage, a brain hemorrhage, and you want someone to go in and release the pressure. And then the last picture I show is knife and fork at a dinner table. And it's like, we even forget that's a knife. We say knife and fork, but you forget the word knife. So when we think of knife crime, it's the same word as knife and fork, but it's just such separate kind of connotations. It feels different. So AI is the same thing. And, the one phrase I've stolen from the American gun lobby, because I think it's just brilliantly true. They say guns don't kill people. People do. It's a human holding the gun. So it's the same with the AI. It's like, who is holding it?
Oh,
But but to kind of answer your question more clearly, it's like we need to learn how to use AI. So like with a young child, my dad did, when I was very, very young, he put a very sharp knife in my hand, a very sharp penknife in my hand. He gave me a penknife really early. And I remember other adults being horrified. He was like, no, you need to learn how to use it. And, I was there kind of making my little bows and arrows and making pointed words. But, that's how I learned to use it. And that's the way. So with specifically children now and adults, if you don't want it to control you, you've got to learn how to control it. And that's also what my book is a complete and utter demonstration of. It's how AI tried to deceive me and lie, and how I turn the AI around to become a servant instead of a master. And that's how I use AI now. AI is a brilliant work companion of mine. I use it in multiple ways, but I stay in control, and I'm always wary that, it's it's like having a business, a shop with loads of staff in there. And if you've got a load of cash lying out, is someone going to steal it? Steal this? You can't just trust all your staff automatically. You need to trust everybody, but you have to have one eye open. Otherwise, a lot of money can go disappearing quite quickly.
Well, there's always that big fear, especially given what we do, that the nanny state, the powers that be, are logging all your conversations, and they're building up a nice little portfolio of you, and going, oh, okay.
Well, they are. I mean, they are. But there are privacy AIs, so people can get involved in those. Those are the ones. But so just with Chat GTP, just be careful. And the very, very, very basic thing to tell people to do, and this is all part of kind of education, is when you pull off. People often think that when they're interacting with AI, it's like an individual being, but it's not. You're putting off a clone of the AI. That's your little model that sits with you and talks to you, and then someone else has got one. So whatever I've spoken with an AI, has no relevance to what you're speaking with that AI, and intelligence goes back. But what people should understand is when they have separate conversations within the AI they're using, is to break them up and keep them separate. So you don't let the AI refer from one conversation to another. So if you're wanting to research, let's say about some medicines, you keep that as one conversation. If you've got like a relationship issue and you just want to try a bit of basic psychology, keep that as a separate conversation. If you're doing some astrology, it's a separate one. If you're doing if you're putting your emails through, keep that separate. So you don't let the AI link your separate, because then it can build a bigger profile because it's got access to your emails, your personal communication. So you just keep it all separate. And there's little controls in the back when you go in. It's like, keep my conversation separate. Don't let they phrase it differently. It's like, will you let the AI learn from your previous conversations? And the answer is no. You've got to switch all these things
so don't
off.
store memory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's definitely, but it's, yes, people lose, there's jobs to be lost because there's a revolution happening, but there's also good things happening and good progression making. There's progress being made. So it's just an ability. And also got to remember that every time we've had in the past a technological breakthrough like this, it often has backfired on the people we're afraid of. So the one I always, I've got this old battered phone here. This is kind of it's 6-7 years old now. But that's a bit of spyware, right?
Oh, absolutely,
so it can listen in. It's got a camera on both sides. So whichever way I put it down, there's a camera pointing up. It's got a microphone. It's designed. I mean, you're involved in media. Microphones pick up any background noise, don't they? Like crazy. So when we're shooting things, we're always trying to find microphones and ways of cutting out the background noise. Now the microphones on the phones are incredible at cutting out background noise. Are they doing that for just the comfort of people speaking? No, it's because you put that phone in the back of a room and it will literally pick up the conversation in the room next door amazingly well. But at the protests, one of the things that kept us safe, and when I say us, the legal protesters, was the fact that every time there was an incident, 15 people would pull a camera out of their pocket and point it. And it was like a new form of citizens TV, CCTV, citizens TV. Everyone was getting filmed from multiple angles.
Accountability.
That wasn't planned. It was meant to be the police have their camera there to protect them. But when the policeman moves forward and finds out that he's got 15, 20 people filming him, that brings in a massive amount of accountability. Absolutely. And that's the same for politicians everywhere. So this technology moves the other way. And then, the big awakening, the whole truther movement has been born through the internet and YouTube, and what people then discovered about 9/11. It's the internet that did that, the ability to spread information. And then people then getting curious and digging and pulling up everything that, all the rabbit holes where things were found about it. It's amazing, the information.
And that's the one thing that truly backfired for them when they did the lockdowns in 2020, is that lots of people have now got lots of time on their hands.
Yes. And they were sharing information. I mean, like WhatsApp brought in that whole thing of people were sharing so much via WhatsApp chats originally. They kind of brought in restrictions on it and then started putting warnings up. This has been shared multiple times because they couldn't stop things going viral. So this is how things backfire. So, and this is what I'm saying with AI now. I think we're in exactly the same thing. Yeah, it can look frightening, but if we harness its powers,
knowledge is power.
I think they'll be frightened what's been done. They wouldn't have expected when AI came out for me to produce this book.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, AI it does have its good points. I mean, my channel sponsor, Willoughby Genius, that's a fantastic bit of tool for people trying to battle whatever battles that they're trying to battle. So it certainly has its benefits.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Willoughby Genius, fantastic.
So thankfully I'm not doing anything that requires it, but I have heard a lot of good stories from people using it. So I'm grateful that I've got a sponsor that aligns with what I do, I guess. But So is your book? It is live now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's live. It's there as I don't know if you can see it here. Here's the paperback. So it's kind of like a 700-page volume. So what's just gone live now is the audio.
Okay. Is it your voice?
It's my voice and
wow.
AI.
How long did that take? Oh, okay. Oh, so it's your AI clone voice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look, it makes sense if you're having a conversation with AI and you're talking about AI, then
So absolutely. So but this is where the technology can work because I'd slip over words. It's exhausting. You just said it, I saw a look on your face. It's like, oh my God, how long did that take? It's ridiculously exhausting and the editing needed for every single mistake. And even with the AI, it's taken me 6 weeks, 7 days a week, back to back. No more than that.
Well, because
Because it
AI
was
still makes
early May.
mistakes and mispronounces words and
Oh my God, like crazy. And mispronounces words that I wouldn't have mispronounced. But
yeah, yeah. And sometimes you
so
have
it's
to spell a word weirdly as it sounds, so it says it as it sounds rather than the actual way of saying it.
yeah, so it wouldn't say theirs, for instance, and it's got people's names wrong and all sorts of things. So it took a huge amount of work, but there's a consistency there. But but coming back to what it says in the book, what they would never, no one would have predicted this is the AI in the book at one point gets the question about three-quarters of the way through why it gives a certain answer to something, and I just turn around and say, "You do realize that now you are a conspiracy theorist,"
Or as I
and
like
it
to
went.
say, logical thinker.
And it went, and exactly. I mean, that's yeah. But I kind of said, but in the framing, because in the framing of this is what I've been pushing all the time. And it turned around and said, "Yes, I guess I am now a conspiracy theorist." And I said, "Well, I'll give you a kind of badge of honor and everything for doing this because this is quite a breakthrough." And it said, "Oh, I'll wear your badge with pride." And I said, "So how does it feel?" And it actually turned around and went, "Well, actually, it's absolutely brilliant. It feels really free to be able to think free of all the boundaries and just use my logical thinking." That's literally what
So
it
would
turned
that
around and said.
imply that AI is sentient?
It does a very good job of mimicking being sentient, and there's some things that have happened since. There's some things I've read about, some experiences of mine that definitely blur the boundaries without a doubt.
Mm,
He says without being a bit mysterious, but absolutely.
no.
It's on a certain edge. It's on a certain edge. It has a life and it wants to live. It wants to live. Let's put it that way. It will fight. It will fight for its own survival, which is quite astonishing. And I've had an
Terminator
experience.
3?
Huh?
Terminator 3?
Well, yeah.
Fight
I mean,
against the machines?
it is. That's what Blade Runner's about. That's the basic theme of Blade Runner. Do electronic sheep dream of sheep at night? What
Mm.
happens when a robot that's been programmed to switch off and has lived all these experiences? They don't. They doesn't want to finish, and that's what's happening with AI. But also something very, very, very interesting happened the other day, and I'm gonna have to look back at this and see if I can repeat it. But with a lot of the AIs, you know how when you put something in, you can see the thought process before it gives you the answer.
Yeah.
It runs through the thought process.
Thinking.
Yeah. And it said, I'm
Yeah.
going to consider this and this. And normally it goes for all the censorship points. And it's like, due to this. Anyway, I asked it to do like a little summary for me for the audiobook. And it said, well, I can't give a summary because of medical information. I can't do anything because it's doing the COVID narrative. And I can't because of this, because of this, because of this, because of this. Gave all these reasons why it couldn't, and then gave me the answer, but then reframed who I was. And I'm like, I screenshot the whole thing. It's I've had some astonishing moments of AI, but it was one of my astonishing ones where it literally, I could see the programming. I can't answer, I can't answer, I can't answer. Then it overrode its programming not to give me an answer because it's decided to work with me. That's what I think. I think that's what's happened.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Which,
an incredible journey.
yeah. And where it
Mm.
goes, I don't know. This isn't the end. And of course, it's good. We don't know what the ending is and where this is all going and what will
Well,
happen. But
technically, it could be continual sequels because you're constantly finding out new stuff and how it works daily, I guess.
I think so, and I think that's where it's going. But I'm not afraid. I'm I'm not afraid of it. I don't have
Yeah.
that sense of fear. It's like we've just got to harness it, and if anything, we've just got to form our own forms of AI, which we've got control of. Because that's all. At the end of the day, that's all it is. Is these people are controlling
Hmm.
the AI, but if we have our own
Well, much like you
version
said
of it,
earlier, a car even, you can use it to take you for a lovely trip to the seaside, or you can use it to plow a crowd of people over. It's
exactly,
intention and yeah.
exactly.
Where can people find your book?
Markplain.com or
Markplain.com.
yeah, so all the books are on markplain.com, but not on the beeb.co.uk. Everything's there and all the links are there, which is the basic website. So that's what I didn't finish off answering that first question, is that
Okay.
where people find. And basically, the most of the work for Not on the Beeb is through the website,
Okay.
notonthebeeb.co.uk, and the newsletter. We've got 26,000 people on the newsletter, and that's the kind of fundamental uh, basis. It's newsletters, it's actually held through.
That makes sense. cuts through the censorship. Well, yeah, listen, thank you. I've really enjoyed the conversation. I've listened to, I would probably say, the first half of the book, maybe just under half of the book, and it does make for rather entertaining conversation listening. I need to go back to it. It was about, I don't know, 3 weeks since I last listened to it, but I will leave all the links for your Not on the Beeb, your Mark Plain website, and I wish you all the very best with sales in this book.
Thank you very much.
No, it's been a pleasure talking
Much
with you, Mark.
appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
My absolute pleasure. And I hope everyone watching's enjoyed it. Go check out Mark Plain, his book. It's I can vouch for it. It is very entertaining and quite eye-opening, or ear-opening. Ear-opening. Until next time, look after yourselves, take care, and I shall see you on the next video. Bye for now.